Yes, let's come together. Jane, all glory to God. So let's come together. Day 2, women and wealth creation. Spread the word around. Yesterday was awesome with TMO and Bosede Olusola-Obasa. Bosede will be joining us again tonight. And we're also going to be having Victoria Ibhawa. So it's going to be an amazing night. Let's spread the word around. Let's know where you're joining us from Dodoma, Tanzania. Wow, Tanzania. Let's come together, spread the word, spread the word. Women and wealth creation. Wealth is not sexually transmitted. Marriage is not economic empowerment. Your children are not a retirement plan. Let's come together. From Ireland, Galway, Ireland, you're welcome. Obiajulu, you're welcome. Kenny from Magodo, you're welcome. Julius from Jos, Plateau, yeah, you're welcome. Okay, it's 8 p.m. Nigerian time. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are all over the world. I'm Olumide Emmanuel, and I'm going to be your host on this amazing broadcast tonight. Yesterday, we began a journey on women and wealth creation. And like I told you yesterday, we're going to be bringing 6 amazing women together to spend time to share so that we can learn and grow together. Well, if you were not around yesterday and you missed yesterday, you can go to IGTV and get yesterday's broadcast so that you can watch it. Even if you were around yesterday, some heavy gems were dropped yesterday. So make sure you go back and do that. Then you can also go to my YouTube channel, Olumide, Dr. Olumide Emmanuel on YouTube. And then you can enjoy amazing content that will help you develop in different areas of your life. All we do is releasing wisdom and common sense for all-round success, because I want to see you be the best version of yourself, and I want to see you maximize your possibilities. So make sure you go and learn all the things we've shared. So today we'll continue on women and wealth creation. And like I told you yesterday, why are we doing this? We're doing this for 3 reasons. Number 1, my latest book, School of Money, Another Dimension. This is how to create wealth as a career person. How to create wealth as a career person, the entrepreneur's guide to the wealthy place. Is about 500, just a little over 500 pages. So we're doing this because we're pushing for this book. The global launch for this book will be on the 3rd of January. So Wednesday, 3rd of January, and we're going to be having an event, the Global School of Money Summit, absolutely free, so that you can come and be a part of this. So that's one of the reasons why we are doing this, so that we can just begin to educate people about all the different things that are ahead of us. Number 2, second reason why we're doing this is because there are 3 major events that are coming up within the next 60 days. And these 3 events are very, very important, and we want to ensure that as many people as possible get to know about this event so that you can plan to be a part of it. The first event is coming up on Wednesday, the 3rd of January. Wednesday, 3rd of January is called the Global School of Money Summit, It's absolutely free. And in that event, I'm going to be releasing the new book and then sharing a lot of stuff with you. We're going to be from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. We're going to have 3 sessions, and you're going to have an opportunity to have all your questions answered. The second event is coming up between the 22nd and the 27th, 22nd to the 27th of January. We are training 1,000 entrepreneurs. It's going to be 1 week of the Entrepreneurship Academy, and it's going to be from 8 a.m. all the way to 2 p.m. from Monday to Saturday. So within those 6 days, we want to train 1,000 entrepreneurs just to equip you, empower you, and position you for a greater destiny in 2024. Now, that event is supposed to cost somewhere in the region of 350,000, but what we have done is to do like a 90% discount. We would have loved to do it free, but we need to know how many people are coming, and we need to be sure that people are serious. So with just 15,000 naira, it's ridiculous actually. With just 15,000 naira, you have an opportunity to be a part of the Entrepreneurship Academy for 1 full week, Monday to Saturday. We're going to be teaching you everything you need to know about starting and growing your own business with all kinds of models. And the 15,000 is just to be sure that you're a serious-minded person, and to be sure of how many people are coming, because we're going to be giving refreshment every day. There's going to be materials, and we also have up to 5 million naira grants that we're going to be making available to people just to help you with microfinance and help you with grants for your business to help SMEs. And then they're going to be connected to mentorship, so world-class facilitators, world-class curriculum. And then the third event is the Billionaires Conclave Annual Conference. Now, the Billionaire Conclave Annual Conference will be coming up on the 1st and the 2nd of March. Now, the Billionaires Conclave is a network of high net worth individuals, families, and organizations under my mentorship. Globally, we have members in about 14 different countries all over the world. And over the years, we've been able to help a lot of people maximize their possibilities. Because, see, the higher you go in your career, in your business, the fewer the number of people that can speak into your life. And everyone needs a coach. Everyone needs a mentor. So the event is coming up on the 1st and the 2nd of March at the Marriott Hotel in Ikeja. It's 2 days, fully residential, and it's $2,000 per person. And we're presently having a 50% discount for that event, which will lapse on the 10th of January. So that's why we're here, so that we can just spend time and share together. So joining me today will be 2 Amazons. Yesterday was amazing. We had TMO and we had Bosede, and I'm telling you, you really need to go back. TMO said a lot of amazing things yesterday that were just amazing, amazing, amazing. So tonight, I'm going to be welcoming Victoria, and I'm also going to be welcoming Bosede back, and they're going to be joining me, and together we're going to have an amazing discussion. When these wonderful people begin to speak, there are all kinds of information. I've got my notes, I've got my pen, I'm ready to take notes. I took a lot of notes yesterday. So tonight we're going to be learning from them also. So make sure you have your notes ready and you are ready to learn. Ready to learn. So if you know anyone that needs to be a part of this, tell them to join us. So, while we're waiting for them to join, a lot of people in this part of the world have not been able to maximize their possibilities because of a lot of factors. And Vicky in the house, Vicky in the house. How are you doing today?
I'm good, thank you, sir. Please confirm you can hear me.
I can hear you perfectly. And then Bosede in the house. Hey.
Good evening, sir.
Praise God. we cannot miss the gist. So welcome. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
We want to go straight because of time, because yesterday I didn't even know when 1 hour passed. So today, and I know you guys have lots of stuff. Now I'm going to start with you, Bosede. You're going to introduce yourself because people did not get your introduction yesterday. So you're going to introduce yourself and just tell us who you are, what you do, and then we now go to Victoria. Yeah, so let's go.
Okay, my name is Bosede Olusola-Obasa. and I am a trainer and consultant in social capital development and management. By that, everything that has to do with building a social asset for you as an individual or an organization. Talk about helping you strengthen your corporate culture, best workplace attitudes, brand equity, and all the likes. So that's what I do. In addition to, of course, having been a journalist earlier in my career with Punch newspapers. Thank you, sir.
Okay, you're welcome. Now, Vicky, let's meet you. Introduce yourself to the world.
Thank you very much, sir. Thanks for the privilege to be here. My name is Victoria Ibhawa. I am a HR consultant. I have been in the professional space for over 15 years. And so most of that experience is in the human resources profession. And I've been privileged to have had experiences across multiple industries. So I started off briefly with the banking industry, but that was NYSC, and also just a stint after NYSC, and then moved into professional services, where I had about 11 years in total between KPMG and Deloitte. From there, moved into SMCG, and currently I'm within the oil and gas space. So really that's me. Outside of work, what I do, I run an NGO, Inspired for Impact, where we are focused on raising kingdom professionals, so professionals who are kingdom minded, but also helping them to navigate the ever-changing world. So the things that they need to stay on top of the game, and to also be prepared for the changes that are currently happening and what will happen. So we equip professionals in that sense. And I'm married with 2 girls, and I also work in the church. So that's it in summary. Thank you.
Okay. So I'll go back to you again, Bossy, and then Vicky, you answer the same question. And now, a lot of women in this part of the world, our upbringing as men is, you are a man, you need to make money, take care of your family. So because of that, a lot of men in their upbringing, they were made to believe that as long as they're able to provide and then they're able to perform in the other room, they are men. So you have a lot of people that as men, they are good providers and they are good in the other room. And that's the only good thing about them. Every other thing they don't think is important. And then we are beginning to see a situation where a lot of men have now defined their manhood by virtue of these 2 functions. And by the time they relocate to the Western world, where the woman now becomes empowered and the woman now makes money, and the woman is now footing bills, they now begin to feel that they are no more a man, because what they thought was the mark of their manhood has been taken away. Then for the woman also, a lot of women were brought up to believe, just wake up, grow up, be a good woman, learn how to cook, learn how to do this, so that when your husband will take care of you, you will marry a good man. So many women grow up without, we even have places in our culture where women are not educated because they feel that what education are we giving to her? Women are not allowed to inherit everything because they feel like whatever you inherit, you're taking to your husband's house. So we have a lot of women that have grown up without financial intelligence, without financial education. And even when they begin to make money, it's like they just waste the money, because as far as they are concerned, the man is coming to take care of us. We are at the table. We are not bringing anything to the table. We are at the table. So you women, can you tell us from your experience, did your parents teach you about money? Well, what was your financial upbringing all about? How did you come into a place where you began to understand the importance of money and wealth creation? So, Boss, over to you.
Thank you, sir. I was not raised to learn what financial education was, but I had parents who were very hardworking. So those were the clearest and closest examples of hard work. Now, not wealth creation, hard work and ensuring that things worked well. Then next up after that is I grew up, started working, and didn't understand a thing about making my money work for me. So for instance, I worked at the Punch newspapers for 14 years and earned really well. But there were two things. I started working before I got married. There were a lot of things I could do with the money I was earning before I got married. But guess what? I would not. Not I could not. I would not. Why? Because somewhere I just had this school of thought that whatever, my mom didn't tell me that, so it wasn't my mom that said it, it wasn't my dad that said it, but somehow I just lived with this school of thought that whatever you made, whatever you did, you were going to be someone's wife. And that kept me limited. I would not invest into real estate because I believed that, so there were so many narratives around. So when you get married, is this house going to be for you or for your husband? Or are you going to change to both names and all? So I had what you call a messed up mindset around what a woman could do. Even though I was a single lady who was yet to be married, I wouldn't do any of those things, but I could afford them. I wasn't a spendthrift, so I wasn't also going to spend all of them on any kind of wig or whatever. But it was just a situation where I did not know better. I didn't know better about the fact that you are going to get married and you could do a lot should be a plus to the marriage you are going into. Yeah. It shouldn't be a minus. But yes, the school of thought or the software, like Dr. Olumide would say, that was running me right in there was the fact that you didn't need to be that ambitious, hardworking young lady, earning good, but will not do anything investment. Particularly, I used to call myself a real estate illiterate. That the moment where I ought to have known about real estate, I was very illiterate about it. I had that mindset that said I could not. So I did not. So on my own part, it wasn't that I felt that a man had to come into my life. I was earning. It wasn't that I was waiting for a man to come into my life. It was that I felt that there was a cap on what I could do, how much of expression I could give to whatever I was making because I was woman. Now, number two, when I got married, another phase of that challenge surfaced again. Initially, I was married for about the first few years of our marriage, I was earning more than my husband. Right now, he earns far more than I do. Now, I was earning more than him, and it was amazing because when Tope was telling our story yesterday, I stayed through to the end, and I really enjoyed to see that there was a mix of some cross-carpeting about the things she shared and my story. So when I got married, I also had this extra thing about not wanting to show that you are the one doing something. That over carefulness, it wasn't too easy to navigate. You needed to say it in a way that it will not puncture your husband's ego. You needed to, and both of us are Christians, but it did not remove the fact that those were underlying currents that were going on, and they were all a case of ignorance. They were cases of ignorance. So earlier in that time, I would have to do a certain part of things in the house, and he did a certain part. And that was how we started. But I had to be too careful about everything. The things I will say today now freely, and there will be no issues. You will not bat an eyelid. You will not feel anyhow. If I said them then, it felt like you were doing something to his ego. So there's also that aspect of the man having to be helped by the wife. And I know there are still so many men. My husband has grown now, has grown a lot, but I know that there are still men in that circle that they feel like, yes, the thing that makes me a man is not there. So the woman in their life sometimes has to do extra carefulness not to be read wrongly. So that's why I'm speaking to that. And recently I told myself, I said, getting married and being one flesh is the easiest thing to do. But being one in spirit and one in mind is the biggest part of work, particularly being one in mind. Being one in spirit can be easy because you go to the same church, the same pastor preaches to you, you have the same Holy Ghost, you have the same God the Father, you have the same God the Son, you have the same God the Holy Spirit. But it's a being one in mind. And that's why I respected what you said yesterday about 3 levels where you have to be one. So I found out that needed being deliberate and being intentional. And that's been a journey. I'll tell you, that's the journey that we have had to undertake. And we are still work in progress as far as that is concerned. But I want to say that I had plenty of wrong mindset about what the woman could not and should not do. Because when you do, can you imagine? I never got a car for myself before I got married.
Wow.
And I could afford it. Yes. I never got a car for myself. And it wasn't that I was suffering to look for husband, because I got engaged to my husband quite early. We were friends from my teenage years. So it wasn't even a case of somebody was trying to be found, like, let me keep myself. No, it was just this toxic mindset. Moment I came to realization, I told myself, where did this thing come from? Some of the things that fly around that we just allow to catch on us, and then they run our life. I like it to hold it there. So from my story, there are issues both on men's side when they are trying to become who they think they should be. The position it puts the wife some of the time, because not all men know that they are men even without being able to meet certain needs. Then number 2, the fact that because it's not, now it doesn't also look like a comfortable zone for I as a woman. So I struggled with a lot. But if we had an understanding about the fact that this is God bringing the resources through you for now. And my husband has always been a very hardworking person. It's just that things didn't click so early for him. So but the point I'm making is there are so many of those things. So this platform, I honor and value it a lot. There's a lot happening for us as women that are still not very okay.
Wow. Wow. You are shaking table now because you see, I have always wondered, you know, someone asked the question here and you have said it. Where did the mindset come from? Because you realize that we pick things as we grow. And that's why well, anyone that is close to me know that I hate religion. Because, you know, religion is very terrible. I keep saying religion is more dangerous than the devil. Because religion has destroyed the life of many people. And I say that Christianity is not a religion. It's a relationship with your creator. When you practice Christianity as a religion, you're going to get into trouble. And there are many things that have been taught by the church and pushed by the church. And we interpret scripture based on our patriarchal and cultural understanding of scripture. And it has been pushed for so many decades. And it has become the software running a lot of Christians. This year, I did a series for like 30-week series, New Rules of Love, for like 30 weeks. And one of the things I was saying to help people, look, the game is the same, but the rules have changed. They tell you don't allow a third party into your marriage. And I'm like, where did we get this from? Don't allow a third party into your marriage. And a marriage is between a man and his wife and God. And I'm like, hello, in the same sentence, you are contradicting what you are saying. You say we should not allow a third party. Yet you are bringing God. Is God not a third party? So that means we need a third party, but we have to be sure of who the third party is, because whether you like it or not, I'm your pastor, I'm a third party, and my message is helping you. You went to school, the lecturer is a third party, they teach you to have a degree. So how can you say we don't? So consciously or unconsciously, there are third parties on social media, the books you read, the friends you keep. So most of those ideologies come from, if you're a woman, you better don't buy a car. If you buy a car, a man will not marry you. If you don't build a house, and then you have money, you are not building. Now, all the things you could have achieved before you married, you didn't achieve. When you now get married, you discover that it's not easy to achieve. Because you don't have more responsibilities. So, and oh my God, it's just amazing. And we're going to come back to this issue of any more than your husband, because we need to crack this code of manhood. What makes you a man? Is it your vision and your position, or is it your finance and your prowess in the other room? We need to, maybe we'll do a man session. So Vicky, how did you know about money? Did your parents sit you down to teach you money matters?
Thank you very much, sir. In fact, when you were making your last comment, I was thinking to myself, Pastor needs to have a mail session, and then you said it. Because I think that would really address a lot of things. But let me go straight to, it's a two-in-one question, how I learned about money, if I grew up, knowing about money, and then also what Mrs. Obasa has already spoken to a lot. But let me start with how I knew about money. I didn't have a formal training, I wouldn't, there was no time that anybody sat me down, either my mom or my dad, to say, this is how you save, this is how you invest. However, I grew up in a home that, as at about 11, my immediate older brother passed. I saw what it did to my family. And then when I was 13, I lost my dad. And I also had a younger brother, two older brothers. Our eldest was just going to university. So I saw a woman who was a typist with IAP, Industrial Arbitration Panel, at the time on Ikoyi. And I saw her took care of 5 children, then became 4 after my brother passed. And I know how she went through, taking all 4 of us through the university. We're all graduates today. Every one of us also have our masters, although that most of us did on our own. But if I look back, and I also heard her say stories of how that there was a time, I can't remember which of the presidents was, those houses in Surulere and some areas, those whole old government houses. Yes, Jakonde, yes, was Lagos State. And how that they brought, those opportunities to them, and they thought, oh, it was just, what was it? And just like Mrs. Obasa said, she could afford it conveniently, but they didn't take it serious for 2 reasons. One, they weren't sure if it was real, or they were also thinking, oh, things will always be good. When it's time, we will get it. And I heard her say a lot about how she regretted not taking those opportunities at the time. And so I grew up seeing that. However, I wouldn't say I also learned. So one of the things I would say I learned, I saw those things. I saw the struggle. I saw my eldest brother going to school, with tattered uniforms. I was younger because he had tried to jump on Molue and fell, and the uniform tore. And he still had to manage that through secondary school. Lived in a face me, I face you, go out into, so my church then, Foursquare Gospel Church, we had a counselor, Uncle Frank Etnova of blessed memory. He would take us to places like GRA, where we meet other children. I could see the way they were, even the way they were speaking. I saw the marked difference between us. So I knew that deep down I wanted more. But you know what? That desire to want more didn't change much, because the environment still constrained me in a number of ways. So I'll go out, see those things, still come back to the environment that I was. So the people who were my circle, my closest friends, my siblings, my extended family to a large extent, were within the same circle, and so they didn't know better. Do you understand? They would talk about their failures, but they weren't talking about what they were doing differently. And so that continued. But I saw a woman who was striving to say, even if I don't give my children anything, I will give them the education. And one thing my mom would always say is this. So when I was in my final year, when she moved into our house, and it was from our house that I got married, she would say something to her, say, as much as I'm doing all this to train all of you, I do not want to retire and depend on any of you. When I retire, although our mindset was pension, so when I retire, my pension, I'll still receive pension. But guess what? Just to put in something funny, she's receiving the pension, but she's calling every one of us. Sometimes our younger brother will call me and say, our mommy said this, and I'll be like, she told me the same thing though, and I sent her for this. So by the time she gets in 4 places, she's overloaded, and then, she's mama in the church. But that's just by the way. But then that was our mindset at that time. It was pension. I want to make sure she get everything. So when I talk about environment, the switch began to happen for me when I graduated. And so again, going back to my brothers, I was fortunate to be the only female child amongst initially 4 boys, and then 3 boys, 2 ahead of me and 1 younger brother. My eldest brother would tell me this. He would always say, in fact, the 2 older brothers will always say to me, Victoria, whatever you want to do, make sure you come out with a 2-1. I'm sorry to say, I'm not trying to bring any other thing down, but this is my story. Because they had gone ahead, my brother had gone out of school, and he had told me, if you want to be a professional, just be the best while at school. So you have seen, the challenges of getting the job. In fact, my immediate, who now became my immediate older brother, had gone on to do a particular course in a particular sort of institution. And my eldest, because he had graduated and seen the challenges out there, was insistent that he would go back to a university. This guy struggled. It was, it was like, does that mean I have to go back all the years I've spent? The elders said, with just 3 years between them, that one said, you have to. I know what I'm seeing out here. And, we will look back and we're very grateful that we had an older one who was that determined and who was able to push us. And so my change began to happen because I had that opportunity to put in the best I could while in school. That focus in every other area, it's culminating into different things that I see in my life now. So one of the things I tell people was that when I was in school, I was so focused that it was just a personal decision. It wasn't like I got into school so early. Jam was jamming me for a number of years, and then I was about 20 when I finally got into school. Yes, it was. At some point I was like, is it the will of God? When you grew up in church. In fact, I was saying, when I don't pass it, because I had my O levels from SS2, not even SS3. And so it was jam. And then I would be fit. Oh, maybe God wants me to do, and somebody had to cast out that ignorance from me to say, it is not God. You're not putting it, what you need to, but what you need to put in. But as I passed through that stage, got into school, gave it the best, even though it wasn't the best enough for a first class, but came out and the world was my stage. I got into a different environment, where the people who I was working with were people who had schooled abroad, the people who grew up in Ikoyi, the people who grew up in GRA. And I'm not saying that is the only thing so I'm just sharing my story, where the shift began to happen, where I hear the kind of conversations, and I hear the things they were doing. And I just saw that these people are not we're here. So I used to say to myself, we're on the same platform now. Forget my story, the things that I don't want to share, but now we are here. We're on the same platform now. So when they talk, I'm like, we wrote the same exam. We went through the same interviews and we're here. And so that shift began to happen at that point. And gradually, because of what I had seen, there were things that I did as an individual that people were wondering, what are you looking for? So for a case in point, in KPMG at the time, I started in audit. And why you're an audit, so the reason why I did audit was, another story for another day. But I started in audit, and in that environment, the organization pays for you. You get a 6 weeks leave, they pay for your exams, and it's almost like it's for you on the platter of good. So I'd written my foundation past, I'd written the intermediate past, but I knew deep down that this wasn't me. I knew deep down this wasn't me. My partner, when I told them I wanted to leave, they were like, oh, are you sure you're doing well with your exams? You passed 2 stages that you're supposed to have passed. You're being rated, meeting expectations. So, but I knew deep down, but I had another. So how I was able to change into HR was a different ballgame. But the point here really for me is knowing when to make the switch in my career for what I really loved to do. And when I say what I really loved to, because it was able to now bring me more resources, even beyond what I was doing. So the example I wanted to share about persevering and being focused and knowing that I don't want to be where I'm coming from was that when I made the switch into human resources, this time around, what I was doing wasn't sponsored. So, the big 4, KPMG, if you're in audit, if you're in tax, you're client facing and you're seen as a premium staff. So when I decided to move back into back office, which was HR, people asked me, are you crazy? Do you know what you're doing? But I knew that this was me. I love to teach, I love to train people, I love to see people develop. And so I started to write my exams on my own. I started to pay, I paid for my CIP and I paid for GPHR. Every exam I have taken, I can't remember if there's anyone that's been sponsored. Let me not, so that I don't think there's anyone. Maybe subsequently, my subscriptions, but I paid for every single exam. And guess what? Those were the things that became a launch pad for me to get better jobs, that have brought in more money for me, over the course of my career, because I was in time. People were like, so I moved into a unit, and I was one of the first to do a certification that was required for HR practitioners because it wasn't needed. You get your promotion based on your job. So individuals were just looking at where they were at the time. And that's one of the things about people being comfortable. You are getting your pay, you're growing, and that false sense of financial safety, because your current status is fine. And so, but because I knew where I was coming from, I was like, no, I just need to get better and create more opportunities for myself. So I'll just pause there on that and maybe say a bit of a personal story, just a bit, because I think that Mrs. Obasa trashed it a lot. So maybe because I lost my dad early, and also seeing what my mom had done, I never really had the mindset of, oh, it has to be the woman. My story was different because it was my mom, practically, that raised me. And And coincidentally, a few months into our wedding, so maybe a bit of a backtrack would be that one of the reasons that I felt was a confirmation for me to marry my husband, because when we were cutting, he was somewhere else. So he was in Warri, I was in Lagos, and I was praying about it. I just, I had the peace, but then I still wanted more sign. I guess what, just a few months to, after I started work, they created a team in his office and they just told him we are being drafted to Lagos, So it was like, oh, because I was in the bank at the time, I knew that I could get a transfer, but I didn't want to go to a bank. My mom would be like, your brothers are calling me every day. Mommy, pray for me, my target. Pray for me, my target. My mom was practically drawing my ear. Don't go. I don't want you to stay in the bank, But, so I had the options. Again, to every young person listening, the opportunity to have 4 different options was because of the effort I put into school at that time. I'm not saying that was the only thing. Yes, there was the grace of God, but the grace of God will multiply over the works of your hand. So that opportunity to be able to say, would I do KPMG? Would I do Spring Bank at the time? Would I do Zenith or Intercontinental Bank? Those are the 4 options I had, that I had the offer. I had that privilege because of, the journey that I've been intentional about to date. But guess what? A few months after all the confirmation, after the wedding, a few months into the wedding, my husband loses his job. And so I don't think it ever crossed my mind. Again, like I say, this is my own background because it was my mom, that practically just took care of us. So I didn't have that struggle. That's the truth. I didn't have that struggle. Yes, we would have had some struggles. It's a journey, like I would say. Would have had some struggles. Okay, how much more? How long would I continue to do this? Let me see that you are making effort, on your own. So, because we need to put the entire picture on the table. Beyond just saying you will start standing, that thing of what are you seeing on the other side? Are you seeing that intentionality? Are you seeing that growth? Those are the kind of things that, would also make you as a woman continue to strive, to support, and knowing that every one of us, we have our different skills and our different giftings. And like Tokwe said yesterday, again, let me quote her, things about God has brought you. When she said it, I remember my mom told me the same thing. My mom told me, God has brought you into this person's life for such a time like this. Not necessarily in those words, but those were the exact words that she used. And it helped my mindset during that phase of our marriage.
Wow, wow, wow. So if you are listening to us, this is the book, How to Create Wealth as a Career Person. So the numbers are on the screen. You can call to pre-order. You can go to the website. And those of you in Nigeria, get ready. Wednesday, the 3rd of January. Wednesday, the 3rd of January, we're going to be having an amazing, amazing time. The Global School of Money Summit. Now, Bosede, I want you to talk about, you see, there is a particular case study that I used in this book. And
yes.
you were in Punch, and this case study, I've used it on many, many occasions to help people about the PR guru. And I want to use that as we move on. A lot of people in their career, just like you guys have said, make money, but they seem not to think about investment, about the future. They always have this belief that, oh, whatever will be, life will always continue like that. Many of our parents bought a whole car for 6,000 naira. In those days, Volkswagen was 2,005. If you buy the special one, was 3,000 naira for you, a complete Volkswagen. Pojo was 5,800. Then 6,005. If you bought the saloon one was like 8,000 naira to buy a whole car. And now that money cannot even buy tire. Now, when they were buying all these cars, they could have bought a plot of land. Many of the places in Lekki Phase 1 and all these places now, a plot of land was just 200,000, 500,000. And now they are selling for 100 or something million. So I wanted to talk about career people and the need for them to think, because people are listening to us right now. We're still going to come back to this issue of earning more and singles and investors, but I want us to talk about this issue of career people earning money and not doing anything. Vicky has said the same thing. Imagine that mommy had bought like 3 houses in Surulere in those days. Imagine that you, when you were in Punch, even if it is Arepo then.
Don't worry, sir. I have one story coming.
Well, Arepo was 200,000 naira. Now, the Ruben Abati, in those days, the Ruben Abati were the one that were fighting to bring trial. Arepo now, one plot of land is 40 million. So talk to us, Bosede.
I'm going to begin on the Arepo Journalist Village, the one that's called Journalist Village right now.
Yeah.
I was in the newsroom when that was up for subscription. Yes, I had just come in and I probably didn't have, but you see, I knew it was being paid in such installment that if I even bothered to ask, please, oh, how are you people going about this? I'm sure that I would have found someone who would tell me something that would lead me to how I could have become one of those that owned a piece of land there. The news filtered into the newsroom. I knew there was a land that people were subscribing to. But you see, it's not a mistake that I've become somebody who talks to people a lot today about mindset, because I have been on the wrong side of mindset. For reasons I cannot even like pin down. So that land was being sold and I was already in Punch. I knew about it. But I won't even dare ask about it. I think that's the bad part of it. I won't even ask. I won't even ask. Why? I'm not married. If I buy it now, whose son is it going to be? Is it going to be in my name? In all those rhetorics, there were a very strong web. And as knowledgeable as the newsroom was, and even at a point in my career, I was seconded to cover the capital markets and money markets. It still didn't help me. This thing about stronghold of ignorance is terrible. So I was covering the capital market at some time. The entire 2006, 2007, I was either in the capital market or in the money market. So you were writing stuff that were making other people better, interviewing MDs of banks, being at bankers committee meeting there at CBN on the island before it moved to Abuja, and hobnobbing with all of those. The closest I got was that IPOs started becoming the rave of the moment, and somehow, like reluctantly, because everybody else who was covering one media or the other were buying shares, so you bought. Sometimes some of those companies were even giving us shares as takeaway. You know, there's so much of goodwill around the job as a journalist. But I still did not understand whatever was happening. Meanwhile, I was making money. Yes, I was. So the advantage, the opportunity of Arepo just fizzled like nothing happened. Why? Because I won't even dare think about it. I wish I knew someone who could help my head, like knock my head into place and say, what is happening to you? That went. Then I got into covering the capital market. I must have been on that bit for like 2 years before, because where I worked, they could move you over and again. And I don't have any problems with that, because it got me becoming a more versatile journalist, because it means that I could do cross-sector stuff without much ado. But for the time I covered, and even after then, I struggled to have a stockbroker I would never talk to. I will write and tell people that monitor your stock, blah, blah, blah. But I wasn't monitoring nothing. I wasn't. So it's possible that you are in the midst of water and you still find yourself thirsty. Ignorance can make it possible. Ignorance can make it a possibility. So I try to tell my story often to people who are younger, just so they do not find themselves in that kind of situation. So I did. Wow. Now, there were a lot of things I did without my mind, like I wasn't conscious of what I was doing. I bought stocks without being intentional, so you could tell why I wasn't monitoring whether I was going or I was getting bearish or bullish in the market. I would only write it. Then I would earn my salary and go. This thing about salary. Now, the second thing I entered in without my head knowing what it was doing was by that 2016. I think the first time when I knew it was like 2 years I wanted to leave Punch. You know, at a point I started agitating and telling myself, no, I don't want to be 40 and just be doing something because it's employed. I don't know. I think it was just God that wanted to help me. And I was 38 at that time. And I said to myself that, oh, let me start. Imagine somebody has been earning since 2000. In 2013, 2012, you woke up and said you wanted to start investing. Now, let me tell you another very toxic mindset that I had. My own is about mindset this time. I know that there are so many people in my shoes that are probably on this call tonight and need to be delivered with knowledge. Another mindset I had was, whatever I saved, once somebody around me is in need, you know, I'm first child, once somebody around me is in need, I will just go and withdraw the thing. That's why today, I don't keep saying anything that will be savings. I don't allow myself access because till now, I'm still very careful to be sure that that is not still inside of me. I make sure I put whatever I want to keep now in investment. Otherwise, so I'll tell and you know, it sounded so pious and religious and right. So I'll tell myself, me, I cannot have money and somebody is in need and I'm keeping it all. Until 2012, when Bishop Oyedepo was preaching, and he was talking about percentages, how you should share what you're doing, the amount that should go to investment. He just took that teaching one Sunday morning. And then I'm like, oh, so I could still have been a blessing and still have what I was keeping. For many years of my life, I ran with the mindset that I cannot have money somewhere and someone I know or love is in need and I will not go and I'll just go and offload everything. I'll just go and offload everything. And then, so when it was time, it's complex. So when it was time for me, like in 2012, like I said, after that message, I suddenly woke up and was trying to play catch up with my life. So I had to call my colleague in the newsroom who covers insurance as a then, an award-winning lady who covers insurance. I'm like, what can I do? What's in the insurance clinic that I can do? So I decided that, okay, my children, what if this girl gets into university? I should be able to. I started, and then she said, oh, you can do, I don't want to do adverts. So I signed up. I was doing a particular, I had to now start putting large chunks monthly, because I was trying to catch up for what I had not done for a long time. Now, I was 3 years into a 5-year plan of financial savings when I knew it was time for me to leave Punch. Don't forget that I don't have savings. I don't have. So, very critical issue. I don't have savings. So that was the only thing I could say I had as I was living. Meanwhile, I don't want to start saying what I was getting here. I know as a journalist, if you have sense, in addition to your salary, there was BTA for your transport. And good with me, I was never a blackmailing journalist, but I still got blessed a lot of the times. For doing your job well, people will just want to do stuff for you. So I could say that so much came in every month. But for me, it's about just make sure everybody's fine. That was not wrong. But I later got to know that it was half knowledge. It wasn't full, it wasn't complete. Be a blessing, but also have a life. Because if you are finished, everything is finished. But I believe it was just mercy that didn't allow me to find myself in a pathetic situation. Okay, so see another mindset. Moments I resigned at Punch, and because I had to resign majorly because my job and my taking care of the children, I was beginning to be very imbalanced emotionally. I had a job where I could come home at 3 a.m. and the rest, that was the schedule, and the distance from home, everything. Plus, remember, I refused to get a car for myself. Even when we got the first car, I refused to drive it to the office. It was a funny thing. So, but I'm your usual vibrant, bold journalist who will write stuff and all. Anyway, so I then left and said to myself, oh, I've done almost 4 months. Then I called the account officer in charge of the investment I was doing. I said, I'm not doing it again. I want to opt out. And she said, I hope you know you would have some, what do you call it now? Surcharge. If you are not getting to maturity. I said, it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Because I didn't have another money. Number two, I wanted to get a car. Now, I now feel like getting a car. Because the first car was no longer operational. No, it was operational. I wanted a car of my own. Same mindset. A Punch big girl. I just came out of Punch now. I can't be not driving up and down. As if car was an asset proper. But I didn't know, better. As at that point, car wasn't a bigger asset than owning a house or having a land. But I didn't know better. So I bought and I wanted a Jeep, yes. So I just called my brother, blah, 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 blah. And he said, okay, if that's what you want. So like out of the entire savings, I used to get the Jeep. That Jeep had accidents within, I think it didn't stay 6 months. Oh. It didn't stay 6 months. And you know how you encourage yourself now that thank God there's life. Hey. So whatever was left out of the money was now what I was trying to live on for a bit. When my brother came in 2012, around that 2012, a lot happened around that 2012, the message from Papa, and then my brother started real estate. He would just come and say, I'm selling this. And you know, I believe that I'm just supporting a brother. So at a point it was, I have real estate to sell, I have land to sell. I didn't understand what it was. I just said, provided it's you, there's no problem. So I put money and got the first land. Unconsciously, not knowing what I was doing. As in paid installment, that was just before I left. Those were the ways I ended up not being totally empty. This second time again he came. The first one was for life page, the other one was for pertinent, and usually I'll be the first person he comes to because you know that this woman get money. You just come to me and say, do this. But I thought I was helping him, like support a brother. I didn't know he was the one helping my life. I didn't understand it like that. So today they'll say, I'm the first customer of life page, I'm the first customer of pertinent. Unconsciously, not deliberately. Wow. Unconsciously, not deliberately. Then it wasn't like I even learned enough to continue to increase it. So when I hear people say you should have as much land as the number of your years, I'll just laugh that. I'm gonna catch up, I'll play. And it's been messy.
Wow.
It's been messy. It's been very, very messy.
Wow.
So
everyone listening
whether it's investment or anything, I was entering them not understanding, because there's half knowledge is as bad as no knowledge at all. I think that was another phase for me. And the fact that you are a journalist writing something, or you are a speaker speaking something, if you don't understand it enough to practice it, it's still zero.
Yeah. Wow. Everybody listening to us, you need to get your book. You need to get this book.
That book is a lifesaver, Sam. That book is a lifesaver.
If you think School of Money was something, wait until you get this one, because a lot of people are in the career rat race. Just there. And even if you win the race, you are still a rat with golden handcuff. And like I've said, whether the handcuff is made of gold or silver or wood, handcuff is handcuff. Many of you are making money, and once you lose your job, 6 months later, you are back to zero level. It's a deceptive lifestyle. And you need to be at the event on the 3rd of January. Wherever you are, travel down. People will be telling me, when are you coming to Port Harcourt? And when are you coming to Abuja? If you want to get visa, will you go to where the embassy is? If you are looking for American visa, will you tell American embassy to bring your embassy to you? Poverty never wire you. Now you no go do for knowledge. Come to Lagos for that meeting. It's 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. 4 hours. I'm going to take 3 sessions. And I'm going to answer your question. Then you get the book, Get School of Money. And one of the things we are doing is everyone that comes, we are doing a raffle draw. And then first prize is a plot of land. Second prize, all expense paid trip to Qatar. And then we have up to 10 prizes. So make sure, call the numbers on the screen and plug it. Vicky, career people. Now, one of the things I've done in this book for the first time in my writing career is I brought in a lot of other people to join me, and Victoria is one of the co-authors in this book. So, Vicky, I wanted to talk about, you know, in this book, one of the questions I ask you guys is, why is it that a lot of career people have not been able to create wealth and they just rely on salary? So, and you've written something. I wanted to speak about that right now.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much, sir. I see a lot of the things that Mrs. Obasa has shared, so I'm going to pick up from there. But quickly, let me also talk a bit on the environment that I refer to, so that I don't miss that. You know, when I talked about environment of work, the other very good thing was the environment of where my soul was being fed. So professionally, I was in, you know, was in that environment that I referred to, but also, you know, it also coincided with when, you know, I joined my church that I'm in, and it was a completely different experience where there was balance of, you know, Jesus is coming soon, but also while you're here, what you can do. And, you know, that privilege was there, which, and, you know, you're my pastor, so I know, you know, and a lot of people that also that are online know that that's what you're known for. So that privilege to be under your leadership, spiritual leadership, and hearing all that was also a different environment for me, where I began to say, okay, now I need to make that change intentionally. Pastor, please, sorry, sir, I know I said pastor, but, you know, doctor, please let me also quickly say something. Somebody has said something, I picked it, I don't want to lose it. When somebody was referring to Mrs. Obasa, the person said, while I appreciate what you're saying, I'm a firm believer that there's also the timing of God. You know, there's time for everything when God enlightens your eyes, and that's it. Just so that we don't lose that, I just want to quickly say to that person, yes, there's timing, but really, a lot of, so let's not misinterpret, let's not put the burden on God to say, God, when I start is when God opened my eyes. Your eyes have been opened. So there's a lot of, somebody put that comment there. So maybe you would also want to address this later. Your eyes have been opened, but a lot of factors. And let me give you one personal example before I now quickly move into why career people. This same area, Mowe, you know, that back in the day, this was 2008, 9, that time it became very, got some plots there, but I never finished paying. There were people that would come, different, you know, land people were coming to the office then, got interested, picked different ones. Do you understand? Even did for residential area, did for business area, you know, because of that, oh, I really want to be different. I don't want to experience what my parents experienced. But I didn't continue. And some of them, I couldn't even trace them because there were always some terms and conditions, you know, written little at the bottom, that at the end of the, when I was ready, I had lost some things, you know. So did God open my eyes? Yes. If it's about what you're saying, but was I intentional? Was I disciplined to follow it through? No. So just wanted to give that example, but let me quickly go to the main question. And I'll say this, sometimes it's not only in the environment. Many professionals these days, you ask them anything about their business, anything about the organization that they work for, they will give it to you. So they understand the business of the organization, but like you would say, doctor, you would always say they don't understand the business of their careers. So I'm working in an environment, I know everything about that business, which is good. That is what is going to keep you growing in that environment. Yeah. But your career goes beyond that business. And if you have chosen to be a career-focused professional, not everybody, you know, some people will be entrepreneurs, but within that space, what can we do? What can you do with your income? We hear a lot about what you save, what you invest, you know, and what you spend. What can you do with it? How can you be intentional in that space? And then beyond it, how can you grow your profile so that if anything happens, you still become relevant, you are still earning, you are still able to live the life that you should live. You can be able to say, yes, I'm financially independent at a certain level. I'll give you, you know, when I say this, it brings to mind a lot of examples. I have seen people leave an industry that I currently am in, and you're wondering after 20 years, they've been they've taken so much loans, They've traveled every year. And I'm not saying there's nothing bad in traveling, but because you want to meet up with everything that is happening with everybody, that false sense of security, financial security, just keeps you in that place. And there's no job that is secure. There's no job that is secure. So understanding what's my career outside of the business. So if I look at what Mrs. Obasa said, you know, the things she did in Punch, now she's bringing that into her own business because there was a deliberate growth. You will see people who are forced to take early retirement and they are about to, and you'll be wondering, is this the man I saw 2 years ago? Is this the woman I saw 2 years ago? Because there was no intentionality in that area. So the other thing that I know that the career persons also, you know, struggle with is that commitment beyond themselves. And I'll share this example. When I was leaving one of the places I worked before, some persons weren't happy. You know, one of the reasons why I left, I got a better pay, you know, I got a higher position and a better pay. I also wanted to grow. But you need, as a career person, to be able to do that separation. And one of the senior partners called me and told me something. He said something I will never forget. He said, Victoria, if the business has to let people go, because he knew that some people, you know, were trying to, you know, make an issue of me leaving, you know, saying comments like, oh, after all, your career has been growing, you know, now you want to leave at this critical time. And he told me something. He said in 2013, during the economic crunch, the business had to let people go. The business in another country had to let people go. And some of their best hands had to be let go because the decision every business will take will be the business first before you.
Yeah.
And so the issue is that many career professionals, we don't have that mindset. You know, the thing about thinking as a business person, we're not trained to think business of our career. Your career is also a business for you.
Yeah.
So if I give this, what am I getting? Beyond what am I getting now? What can I get if I don't trade with these clients? If these clients can offer me 100K, what can that client offer me? And I'm not saying jump every time. Beyond what they're trying to offer you, you're also looking at the viability. Is this client going to put me in trouble later? You know, the kind of ways that business people will think and say, rather than go for 100, I'll go for 80 and play safe. Are you thinking that way as a professional? Or you're just getting your salary every 25th and you're fine? You're not thinking, oh, what if something happens to this industry? Am I versatile enough to move? So those are some of the things, you know, that will happen suddenly to people. And then you're thinking, oh, so what happened to all the years? What happened to all the years? So the other thing is not maximizing opportunities that come. You know, if you work in a structured environment, if you've been graced to work in a structured environment, what are the opportunities, the cooperatives, the shares that the organization sells that are safe? You know, where I work, there's so much that I don't even think about it. I just do a direct debit, you know, just debit it from source. Because I might not be able to be disciplined, just like you said. That thing about being an only female child, you understand, having a lot of things around you, there's so much. Just having that discipline to be able to say, let this just go before what is left is what I know it is done. Do you understand? This is what I know that I have. So developing your skills outside of work. If I say I'm an HR professional, beyond what I do in the space that I'm in, who else knows me? What other opportunities come? And again, let me also set this straight, sir. Knowing that if you're a professional, it's not every time you're able to combine things. So I'm speaking both as a professional and as a career person, as an HR practitioner. There are places where you have conflicts of interest. There are going to be clauses of non-compete, things that will limit what you can do as a professional. But are you developing yourself? Are you building a profile? Are you doing things that will create recognition for you, impact that will translate into income later on? You understand what I'm saying? Are there things that can even bring income that you can declare and will not be a conflict to what you currently do? But a lot of professionals, all we do is we're not looking at this, we're just looking at that space. The other thing is people are not developing themselves beyond now. So when I say developing themselves, what got you into a certain place will not take you beyond that place. And so if you have chosen to stay in that line of, you know, a career, what it means is that your earning is your primary focus of what will bring your income. Yes, there can be other sources, but your current earning might be your primary. How do you not get better? So the certifications you had 3 years ago is what you still have. and you expect that only your work will promote you. There's so much that you can do within an environment. There's so much you can do within an environment. Somebody else wants to pickpocket you, and they're like, do you have this? Do you have that? And you don't have it. Even within your environment, are you showing up? Are you showing up? You don't even know what quality you are beyond your job. There are certain things you cannot do beyond a certain level. When you grow to be a management staff, it is no longer the quality of your job again. It is how you can bring your head up. You know, take a bird's eye view. My former boss would call it, step onto the balcony and see what is happening. Know the people of impact. Know who are the influencers. Are you in their face? When there's an opportunity that can switch you from 10 million to 25 million, that can create a definite change in your financial status, will you be remembered? Will you be that person that will come to mind and they will say, yes, Victoria is the next person to be? Because you know what? It's a pyramid. It's a pyramid. So not everybody is going to get to that point where you can conveniently, like, you know, like our host will say, some end deeds are any more than some entrepreneurs. Not everybody should be an entrepreneur, but is it everybody that will get to the ND position? Yeah. What are you doing to create that space for yourself such that you are the top of the top financially? How intentional are you? Many years ago, my oldest brother would tell me, Victoria, you know when you are an only female amongst boys, there's a lot of attention on you. My brothers believed, before till date, I think they still believe in me more than I believe in myself. My brothers and my husband, they would always say, apply for. My brother would be mentioning different, you know, oil and gas. I think 10 years before I got into oil and gas, my brother, my eldest, has been pushing me. I know what you did. I know what you have. You can do this. You can. He will send adverts to me. So again, your circle. I'm just going to stop there. I'll stop there. But those are some of the mistakes that I see: intentionality, following through, and then being focused. Pastor, let me say something. Sorry, I'm mixing the name between pastor and doctor. But you understand. You understand. I have seen people. I'm trying to be careful here. You know, by the time there's some things that we were able to do, and somebody was like, how did you do it? You know that trying to keep up with the Joneses, especially in certain industries, it's a reality. You see people, you join an environment and it looks like you are the only one that is not wearing gold. You are the only one that is not carrying designer. You are the only one that is not, I'm telling you my reality now. You are the only one that is not living in a particular, and then sometimes you will sit down and say, is it not the same pay slip? You know, is it not the same? Yes, the industry is good, but is it not the same? So maybe there's some trust fund that their parents have created for them that I'm not aware of. But I tell you what, that's not even the case in most instances. It's because my colleagues are doing this, I will do this, and you're not thinking. Lastly, my last point is, they are not thinking ahead. You know, nobody saw COVID coming. Nobody saw jobs being lost. In that space, some people, in fact, I think it was even during COVID that my profile became elevated because of people coming to say, come and share this, come and share that. And that would also translate to other things. Obviously, there's some things I can't do because, you know, I'm in HR, there's some conflicts of interest things, but the profile that I currently have, within 3 months, I've got people who say, come and be on this part, come and be on this thing, come and be on this. And I'm like, oh, I'm not able to do that now because of this conflict, because of this conflict. But knowing that those opportunities exist is very liberating.
Wow, amazing. If you are listening to us, those 2 phone numbers you are seeing there, copy those numbers so they will be your lifeline in 2024. Why? All this real estate thing we are talking about, we have land, but this is not a real estate meeting. We have land. If you come on, we have land all over. We have in Abuja, we have in Uyo, we have in Ikorodu, we have in Uyo, everywhere. So those 2 numbers, you can call them so that we can sort you out for land matter. Now, let me deal with a few things you guys have mentioned, and then we'll come back to this issue of women anymore because we need to deal with that issue. Now, number 1, every one of us need to understand that you are not created to solve every problem. There are problems you are created to solve, and if you enter into Messiah complex, you're going to try to solve everybody's problem and leave your own, and you are not El Shaddai or you shall die. So all this idea of having money, I want to help this person, I want to help that person, I want to help that person, you cannot help people and lose yourself. One of the greatest story of love and support in the Bible is the Good Samaritan. But you will notice one thing. The Bible says that after he has helped the man, he did first aid, palliative. He carried the man to the clinic and handed him over to professionals. Welfare is a temporary relief measure to ensure that things don't get worse. Welfare is not sustenance. And the Bible says he continued on his journey. That when I return, I will come back. Any help that stops your journey is foolishness. So many of you that think you are good people, you are just foolish. I'm helping this one, helping that one, paying school fees for this one. At the end of the day, you will now realize that nothing for you. And a lot of you will now be angry and bitter. I know how I help this person. They ask you for help. Maybe you be, Messiah won't help everybody. Second thing is this issue of God's time. Let me help you again from Bible. God's time is the best. Stop all this religious nonsense. Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 1. There is time for everything and a season for every purpose. Is there in your Bible? Then he went on to say he makes all things beautiful in its time. Its time and his time. There are two different things there. He makes something beautiful in its time and he makes something beautiful in his time. Fruit has a season that it manifests. So if you plant corn, there is a gestation period. If a woman is pregnant, there's a gestation period. So you cannot be pregnant and you are saying you are waiting for God's time. There's nothing like that because God has already designed the timing of pregnancy as 9 months. So to be pregnant and say God's time is the best, there's nothing like that. It's part of the religious virus. Why? Because everything that God creates, he creates it to produce in its time. So your life has seasons. And when you understand the seasons of life, there are things that your life must produce within the season of your life. Then there is the second dimension of the image of the beautiful in his time. That now has to do with the sovereignty of God and it has to do with the purpose of God. So don't wake up saying God's time is the best. Whenever you wake up, that's when your morning starts. So don't waste your time and be saying you are waiting for God's time. And let me give you another scripture because since you went to God's time, let's use scripture and use God to deal with that thing. When Mary, they went to wedding, the first miracle that Jesus ever did, they went to the wedding and there was no wine. Mary came to Jesus and said, they don't have wine. No. What did Jesus Christ say? He said, woman, what have I got to do with you? My time has not come. What did Mary say? Mary ignored Jesus and went to the people and said, whatever he tells you to do, do it. Why? Because you can speed up your destiny. You can bring down the timing of God. So all this God's time is the best. Once you understand the principles that you need to apply and you apply them, God's time will come. Mary said, whatever he tells you to do it. The very minute they did it, the same Jesus that said it was not his time, he began to do it. Why? Because obedience to divine instruction, obedience to scripture, acting on the word of God produces the time of God. So let's not get into all this religious God's time. Then Vicky was saying something about non-compete. I need to speak about that because that's one thing that also freezes the mind of I can't do business. Nobody's saying you to do business. You don't have to do, but you must invest. So there is no non-compete anywhere that will tell you not to buy land or to build house. There is no non-compete anywhere that will tell you not to buy shares or tell you not to invest in investment. So when you are saying non-compete, because you want to go and do business, and we are not saying do business. That's why we are telling you get this book now. This book I've shared everything. I've raised billionaires. Let hear my word, billionaires that are career people, not career people. They are working. Not only in Nigeria. Tomorrow, next week, I'm bringing. We have people all over the world. It's just that this book I limited it to my Nigerian people. People all over the world. So these are things we have done that we see results. So make sure that you don't get into this non-compete. Save your money, invest. If you are buying land and buying houses, you are not competing with anybody. So I just thought I need to bring that. So now let's begin to wrap up. Let's look at this issue of women earning more than men. While I know that the ego issue because of the upbringing of men is an issue, TMO said something yesterday. This issue of is my money, and my money is my money. Your money is our money. Now, if we say your money is our money and my money is my money, and she brought up the revelation yesterday that it's two are not one, that if we believe two are, if we went two are one ahead, but mostly two are not one. Now, when women earn more than men, why is it difficult for a lot of women to have the understanding that this is our money? Whether it's coming through me or coming through him, at least God is providing for our family. Both of you, you know, have, so let's hear from you. Let's start with you, Bosede. This is our money, my money. Why is it difficult for a woman to understand that, look, if it's coming through you, it's still our money, it's for the family? It doesn't mean the man should be lazy. I'm not saying the man should be lazy. I'm not saying the man should now begin to sit down and relax because the wife has money. No, no. But why can't women understand that and balance that up? So let's hear from both of you.
Okay, network is becoming cranky. I hope I'm audible.
Yes.
Thank you. So, I have never had my money is my money, your money is our money. I grew up seeing my mom always adding whatever she had to whatever my dad gave her. And a lot of the times, so it was just natural to watch her do that. I came into marriage understanding that I'm a value-adding citizen, and whatever I was involved in, I had to add value. I hear that a lot. It's very alien to me. It has never been my pattern. It's alien to me because I didn't see a mother that did it. I wasn't taught to do it. It has been, and I probably never also found myself in any league of ladies like myself who could influence me to be that way. So I have always been the type that believes that, and if there's anything, you could say that maybe I went over and beyond. I don't know if there's something like that. So, but I have never had and your money is our money, my money is, I have never, it's a very, very alien to me. It's very, very alien to me. The only thing I know is that even when you are, like I said, even when you are being that person that you should be as wife, there is that, there was a time I told myself, I became cranky at a point, like Pastor Vicky was saying about being in that place where you're asking for how much longer will this be. I got to that point as well. I got to that point where, and I found out that loving as I would love to be, I was becoming cranky. So that's the aspect that I experienced. And again, when I got to that point where I understood the power of counseling, it was very difficult to step out and ask for counseling because of the nature of my husband. He's a reserved person and I didn't want to break him. I knew we needed someone to talk to both of us, which I eventually was the one that had to step out and say, come, we can't come and cave in here. And God's an elderly man. Now he's going to be with the Lord, Pastor Olusola, and spoke to us, and that began to ventilate the entire thickness and toxicity that was growing in the environment. So, but in terms of your money is our money, my money is my money, I don't have good shape, but of course I will encourage them. Yes, sir.
Okay, so Vicky, let's hear from you.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. So I would say, again, like before, there's something I wanted to add to the other question, and really it is starting early. You know, this thing about compound interest over time, it is true. So if you start early, I think I should say that to everybody. I mean, the investment, you know, and get just financial literacy, building financial independence. It makes a huge difference if you start early. Yeah, you don't have to. And then they're not telling you your child sent you a mail, oh, in the next 5 years you'll be retiring, or we are sending you to pre-retirement training, and then you're wondering, where will I start from? You know, so that's just the start early, or start now if you're listening to us, if you haven't started. The other thing, so on this question, really, I also didn't have that, mindset. Like I told you, my growing up, it was my mom, so I didn't have that, that mindset. However, I think one of the reasons, if I answer your question, is there's a lot of societal expectations. This is the society that we're in. There's something around, this is what is expected of men, and it's everywhere. So even when you are going through marriage counseling, if you don't go into a place that is balanced, do you understand? It's everywhere. Even in a place that is balanced, that thing is still there. Because really, that's how it should be, ideally. However, should a woman, be able to step up, do you understand, and take up the roles as expected when things are not balanced on the other end? Yes. But why is that not the case? Societal expectations. The other thing is also fear. The fear of the stories that women have heard. The fear of, I can tell you, that's the reality, sir. There's a lot of stories we hear of women who've done so much, suffered, and I remember growing up, we had, I don't want to say who the people were to me, because I do have some friends from my teenage years that were still in touch. Some of them might even be on this call now. And I know of somebody who suffered with the husband. She had a big shop in Eko those days. And, because she wasn't literate, they built their house. And before you know it, by the time she had her last child, the man got somebody else pregnant. And the friends was like, oh, you will marry him, you marry him. She was even willing to take the child and trade. And, the malicious friends who later on she realized were malicious, were like, oh, marry. And that's how this woman became a victim in a house that she struggled with her husband to build. When women hear stories like that, those are some of the things that hold women back. And you hear a lot of them. There was the story of the gospel musician. You understand? People hear that. I'm like, oh, how do you have such a gift, such opportunities, and then see how that person ended? But the truth is, those are not the majority. Again, like we say, the people who is working for, they're not coming out enough to tell those stories. So we hear more of the negative stories, and people are afraid because people have not grown. Again, the environment, who are the people in your circle? The kind of gist you hear, like Mrs. Metiemo was saying yesterday. If you are not in a circle of people who are saying, oh, my husband gave me this and I'm doing this in return. I remember one of the first times I heard Mrs. Funke Felisadejumo, talk. She was in my church, and she came during that time where we used to bring her for, I can't remember which one, September to remember. Yes, and then she said something about her husband gave her a gift, and then she topped it up with a higher gift. If you don't understand them, you think it's competition. But I was hearing an empowered woman. I was hearing a financially independent woman speaking. I was hearing somebody who knew that she could also honor the husband with her finances. So I was hearing that, and I was like, okay, so the question is, who are the people we are listening to? So if I flip it to that bit of the concern, now bringing a personal example, when I was asking myself those questions, just to give me that comfort, like Mrs. Obasa, my husband is also a very, reserved person. There are people that are very close to me. Some of them might be on this call. There are things you will not know about our family. You can be, in fact, people externally will think, oh, they're very close. But I have decided that not everybody, you understand? Not everybody I can speak to. Another thing is, who are you speaking to? My brother's older sister, my husband's older sister, and the husband. When I was getting married, I knew. When they say you are before somebody and you're not ashamed, that is how these people are to us. So if there's any, I call them, this is my concern. And the next, they're also marriage counselors, so we are blessed for that. The next thing, we have a call and we are addressing things. So that also helps us, because there are things that, as much as, and that's addressing the third party issue, just to give you that comfort. Yeah. Who are the people we are listening to? There are people that will tell. Another thing that also, worked, and maybe I should leave that to you, sir, to address when you're doing marriage counseling. One of the things that I heard, and I'll leave that to you, sir. I know you're interviewing me, but I'm throwing that back to you. When you're getting married, one of the things that was said, let me play back. I had somebody who got married. I won't say how the person was to me. And when they were going to fill the land they were buying and build the house that they both contributed to, the man had filled it with his name, and he said Mr. and Mrs. He actually put Mr. and Mrs. And you know what the woman said? She said, anybody can be Mrs. this.
Yeah.
That's what she said. Maybe there was a background. When we were doing our marriage counseling, what they told us was, when you have joint things, it's okay to have personal things, but when you have joint things, let it be Mr. Osereme and Mrs. This. Do you understand? So that was the marriage counselor then. I'm not a marriage counselor. Even though I have younger couples that, you know, advise. So I would want you to also throw light on that and other related things, because this is what, you know, what we're talking about. These are some of the things that cause the fear for women.
Wow. Wow. In fact, if we continue like this, we're not going to sleep today. Well, everyone listening to us, I need to begin to wrap up now. Let me just speak to that. When you are buying anything as a couple and you are putting your name, Mr. and Mrs. is not the name of your family. You have to put both names. So it's Mr. Olumide and Mrs. Adenike Olumide Emmanuel. So that, because anybody can be the Mrs., anybody can be the Mr. Very, very important to know that. And then many of you, when it comes to next of kin, a lot of you, when you were growing up, you were not married, you started a job, you filled the form, you wrote a next of kin, you opened an account, you wrote a next of kin. So now you need to go back to your bank account and check who your next of kin is in your bank account. Many of you need to go back to your work, go to HR and find out who your next of kin is, and go and do an update of that so that it will not affect you if that needs to be done. Well, in closing, let me remind every one of you, there are 3 meetings that will be happening within the next 60 days. These 3 meetings are very, very important for you to choose to be a part of it, because it will go a long way in helping you in 2024. Number 1, on Wednesday, the 3rd of January, we're going to be hosting the Global School of Money Summit. It's absolutely free. It's going to be taking place at the Railboat Auditorium in Idimo from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m., 4 hours. And I'm going to be sharing with you. I'm going to be handling everything myself, 3 sessions. And then you are going to be having an opportunity to get a copy of my latest book, How to Create Wealth as a Career Person, The Entrepreneur's Guide to the Wealthy Place. This book is said to be another school of money for career professionals. So prepare yourself to come and get a copy when you come. So for those of you in Nigeria, it's 20,000 naira. So when you are coming, come prepared. We're working on the hard copy. The hard copy will be 30,000. But let's just stay with the soft copy. It's 20,000. If you are listening to us anywhere in the world, if you're in the UK, it's £30. If you're in the US or Canada, it's $50. Now, that is the first meeting. The second meeting is the Entrepreneurship Academy. And it's coming up from Monday the 22nd to Saturday the 27th of January. Monday 22nd to Saturday 27th of January is 1 week, and we're trying to raise 1,000 entrepreneurs. It's supposed to cost over 300,000, about 350, but we're just doing it for 15,000 naira. You're going to be getting refreshment every day, materials and all the stuff. We have up to 5 million naira grants we want to give out to people to help SMEs, and you're going to be connected to mentorship. So go to the website now, register, or call those numbers and register, and just make a payment of just 15,000 so that we know you are a serious-minded person, and we'll be able to know how many people are coming to be able to plan. Then the 3rd meeting is the Billionaires Conclave Summit 2024. The Billionaires Conclave is a network of high net worth individuals, families, and organizations under my mentorship. We have members in about 14 different countries all over the world, and this is an opportunity for you to join a family of people that will help you grow and maximize your possibilities. So the conference is coming up on Friday the 1st and Saturday the 2nd of March 2024 at the Marriott Hotel. It's $2,000 for the event. Is fully residential, and then we're doing a 50% discount right now. So if you pay between now and the 10th of January, you pay just $1,000, and that includes your accommodation for 2 nights. It includes breakfast, lunch, and dinner, conference materials, and a lot of other things. Speaking this year will be Tara Feladuro-Toye. She's going to be handling the session on women and wealth creation. And then we have Sheung Onigbide, one of the founders of Budget. He's going to be sharing with us on wealth creation opportunities in the tech space, so that we know a lot of opportunities to create wealth through technology. And then the national president of the Billionaires Conclave, Timothy Oladipo Clement, will be talking to us on creating a vision board and how to activate that. And then I'm going to be taking all the other sessions on creating wealth as an individual, as a family, as an organization, cracking the global billionaire code. Then one of the things we have done for this year is because of this book and career people that want to bring it, because a lot of career people think that the Billionaires Conclave is just for business people. So we have decided to bring in an evening session that will be free. So it's called the Kingdom Wealth Summit. So I'm bringing Joshua Selman. So myself and Joshua Selman will take the Friday night and Saturday night. That one is free. And we have only 450 seats. So what we are doing is you have to go to this website right now and register. If you show up without VIP card, you will not enter. So you register, we'll take you through a screening process. We want to be sure that the 450 people in that room are matured, kingdom-minded individuals, not just, well, this one is kingdom. So if you are not a kingdom person, we don't want you. It's not by force. So it's matured kingdom people, not people that are looking for survival, people that are ready to be raised as billionaires and millionaires to now sponsor the gospel and use their money to do God's work. If you are not ready for that, don't bother. So that is absolutely free. So register now and you'll be glad to do. So in closing, let's wrap up. I want you to just give us your final word. You have both read the School of Money book. Bosede, you have read this one because you did editing. Even though you read parts, you didn't read them then. Vicky, you have seen part of this, but you have read the School of Money book. In wrapping up, I want you to talk to us about, maybe you should just talk straight to women on the reason why they need to get these materials and the reason why they need to be in this event. So, Bosede, we'll start with you. I will wrap up with Vicky.
Okay, just as I said in a personal message to you, sir, this has come at the right time. A lot of people still see investment as status symbol. Investment is not status symbol. It's only a vehicle of wealth creation, a vehicle of wealth retention. So, and I'm speaking to women now. So a woman should not think that I'm trying to be at par with the men, status-wise, or with my husband status-wise, so I cannot invest. Girls who are not married, who are working seriously and earning a lot in many of the C-suites corners, should learn to know that you don't have to keep your life on hold. This book will help you ventilate, it will help you understand what you're missing out. There's definitely a missing link. And don't forget my story. And I don't want to see a lot more people go through this. This is not a circle anyone else should go through. So this is a book that has come at the very right time. And having a copy of it, not just in your library, but for consumption and also reference. Because it's more like a reference material. It's not something you just consume and forget it there. You will need to go back and check every now and then. So you definitely, and then this Christmas and Yuletide season is also a beautiful gift to put there in your hampers. People will thank you for it. The moment I saw the book, I told myself, how I wish I saw this book. How I saw this book or those times. But I'm glad for the God of second chance, right? So this is the second chance. God is making it up to us. But you don't have to put in God's hand, on God's shoulders, what He expects you to do, like you've heard tonight. So this is one book that would help a lot, particularly those of us that are ladies. Ladies, please step out and ensure that you come out of that box that nobody put in. You put yourself. Thank you.
Okay, Vicky, final word.
Okay. Yeah, final word. I would say to ladies, this book is going to be transformational. You know, the thing about is the scripture that already says it, that in the multitude of counsel there is safety. When you have a book that has 17 people contribute, so the main author and 16 other persons, what you are having in your hands is the errors, the mistakes, and the corrections of those people. Is a lifetime. If you put together the years of experience, is something, I don't know how many years, and I don't know everybody who contributed, but I believe that it will be close to 200 to 300 worth of real life experiences, not just textbook, experiences of individuals. And so when they say experience is the best teacher, it doesn't have to be your own experience. You can latch on to the experiences of others. So in that book, I say one of the concluding notes I put in my part of that book is that book is a gold mine of time-tested, process-tested, strategies that individuals can use. And I would say a final word, maybe my very final word would be this. Beyond the experience of the people, this is a book from somebody who is also a spiritual giant. And I normally would say to people, there are three fundamental things: yourself, in terms of a career person, your support system, in which your spouse is a core part of, but most importantly, your faith, your relationship with God. The things that have been the most pivotal point in my financial journey as a career professional, a number of them are linked to specific instructions from the throne of grace. So you will see in this book a combination of experiences, principles that are Bible-based, principles that are backed by the supernatural. And I know that as you hold that book and you are intentional to not just read, but to act on them, your transformation is coming. I want to see you, and I know I'm going to see you as a greater person in 2024.
Yes, so thank you. Tomorrow night, we'll wrap it up, and then on the 26th, we'll start another 5 days. So we'll rest next week. So tomorrow night, I'm going to be having Damilola Azan, and I'm going to be having Binta Max Binije. And Binta Max Binije will be with me tomorrow, and Damilola Azan. These are also two amazing mentees of mine. And you see, you need to be, two of them are also contributors to the book. So make sure you join us tomorrow night, 8 p.m. I'm going to save this on my IGTV now, and it's also going to be on my YouTube channel so that you can watch yesterday and watch today again. Thank you, Bosede. Thank you, Vicky. God
Thank
bless
you, sir.
So
Thank you very much, sir.
So everyone, join us tomorrow night, and note these two phone numbers and go and register now. Go to the website and register for the Global School of Money Summit, Wednesday, the 3rd of January. Go and register for the Entrepreneurship Academy, and then also register for the Billionaires Conclave Summit 2024, 1st and 2nd of March 2024. So I'll see you guys again tomorrow, 8 p.m. God bless you all. Bye for now.